Hi everyone, I'm Empress Sankhofa of ANKH'D Empress Holistics. Thank you so much for tuning in to my channel. Tonight I will be discussing positivity and the patriarchy and generations and gender fluidity. So make sure that you give me a like, make sure that you share, and make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Let's get started. And 2020 has come in like a raging storm. It has brought about many changes. It has shaken up a lot of things, structures that have been in place for a very long time that needed change. 2020 brought that change. And much like its name, 2020, it has brought hindsight and clear vision for many people. 2020 has exposed our secrets, has exposed our fears, our deepest vulnerabilities. 2020 is that year. And the shift has been so drastic that there are many people that are choosing to not remain on the physical plane, especially if they're holding on to a lot of baggage in their Anahata, or their heart chakra, the chakra that is associated with the color green. And if you're in my ANKH'D Empress Holistics private patrons group, you've seen me talking about how the heart chakra is the gateway into the higher realms and the higher dimensions when it comes to connecting with your star family and your deeper galactic purpose and all of that. So you've seen me talk about these topics if you're in that group. But holding on to heavy heartbreak and wounds and baggage is why a lot of people do not want to work on their heart chakra. Because in order to heal things, they have to come up and you have to actually deal with them. Having to face what's going on in the heart is why a lot of people stay stuck at a lower vibration. They don't want to face it, or it's too painful. It's like if you don't deal with what's in your heart, it's pointless trying to open your third eye, your crown chakra. It's pointless. Or the chakras that extend into other dimensions and other planes. And for this very reason, many people seek out alcohol and drugs and careless sex and toxic relationships, or they choose to no longer even abide in their physical body on the physical plane and they die. And it's important for us that remain here on the physical plane to honor whatever path that another soul has chosen. So 2020 has brought a lot of these things up, not to destroy us, but ultimately working towards us advancing as a society. So it's very important that we focus on our heart energy and work on that at this time. Because of a lot of the things going on with COVID and politics and things like that, a lot of people are posting about positivity and the need to stay positive and keeping an optimistic mindset right now during these challenging times. And while there is nothing wrong with that inherently, that brings me into my topic for tonight. I'm going to explain to you tonight how being positive or promoting just being positive is deeply rooted in the patriarchy. So sit tight. It's gonna get deep. For so many people, 2020 brought in a reality check. We're being forced to assess what has not been working, what we've inherited from past generations, what has not been working civilly or politically, when it comes to relationships, monetarily. In so many ways, we're having to assess what has not been working and having to make changes, important changes, like being at a critical point and having to make changes moving forward. But society is rooted in anti-feminine rhetoric down to its fingertips, even verbiage. The words that we use in cliches are, in fact, anti-feminine and promote the toxic masculine patriarchy. So, what exactly do I mean by this? When I say that society is anti feminine, it goes beyond just us raping Mother Earth for resources and, taking from her, polluting the air, the oceans. It's beyond that. And it's beyond misogyny in music and misogynistic leadership. It's beyond those things.
Let's talk about science for a minute. Protons, or positively charged particles in a cell's nucleus, are considered masculine. A positive charge is a masculine charge. Electrons, or negatively charged particles floating around the nucleus, are negative. Negative ion charge is considered a feminine charge. Neutrons do not have a charge, they're neutral. You can observe the positive and negative charges like this by looking at anatomy or looking at a battery. What makes a positive charge is its terminal pokes out like male reproductive organs, and on the feminine side, the reproductive organs are inside and the battery is flat on that end. Here's a graph of the x axis or the feminine axis, which is in blue, and the y axis or masculine axis, which is in purple. Zero is in the middle, and the more up or to the right you go, the more masculine it is, or the more left or down you go, the more feminine it is. We've already discussed that feminine charges are negative, so pessimism, aka negativity, is feminine, and pessimism or negativity is said to be bad. Optimism or positivity is masculine and is said to be good. Darkness is associated with negativity and evil and is quote unquote bad. But wait, didn't we just say that negative charge is feminine? So the opposite is light, which is associated with good. But wait, didn't we just say that positivity is a masculine charge? And when it comes to angels versus demons, angels are said to be quote unquote positive beings of the light, and demons are said to be quote unquote negative beings of the darkness. But wait, didn't we just say that positive charges are masculine and negative charges are feminine? Is this glass of water half empty, pessimism, or is it half full, optimism? Are you getting it now? Do you see how the things that we say are, in fact, anti feminine?
So, all in a nutshell, I want to say that being dark, pessimistic, or bad, or seeing, or evil, or seeing the glass as half empty is no better than being light and positive and optimistic and good and seeing the glass as half full. We need both for balance. Sometimes it's necessary for you to see the glass as half empty. Sometimes it's necessary for you to see the glass as half full. That is the reality check. That is where the balance is saying, you know what? Let me transcend this thought. Let me go deeper than just a two-dimensional thought of X versus Y, good versus evil, up versus down, angels versus demons. Let's go beyond the 2D mindset. Let's get out of that second dimensional mindset that religion put a lot of people in, or certain religions put a lot of people in, just only thinking it on two planes. Let's bring in that third plane. Let's go beyond that. It's a glass of water. Is the glass real? Is the water real? Are we real? What's really real? What's really reality? And when you start thinking on that level, you have transcended the polarity of this dual existence. Because until we start recognizing that the two are actually one, it's going to be more polarities. Just like when it comes to the election. If you're here in the United States and we have democracy, you go vote for one of two choices at a poll. A poll, poll. Think about play on words, homophones, like the North Pole, South Pole, positive pole, negative pole. So they are quote unquote opposing forces. Scientifically speaking, positive and negative are variations of degrees away from the zero set point. So zero is in the middle, and how far you go to the right is how positive it is, or how far you go to the left is how negative it is, or how and that's on the x-axis, and then on the y-axis, how far up you go is positive or masculine, and you go back down to zero, and then you go under zero, how far away from zero you go at the bottom is feminine or negative. So basically this creates a pole, so to speak, polar opposites, a pole. So two opposing forces that are both necessary. Positivity and negativity are both necessary for balance. And we got to get back to 0 point. Yes, the 0 point. The what do you call it? The origin on the on the graphing paper is the origin. The origin is 0 point. We got to get back to 0 point where nothing is too masculine or too feminine, too up, too down, too left, too right, too optimistic, too pessimistic, too credit, or too debit. But when we say X versus Y, or women versus men, or Venus versus Mars, we're only thinking on a two-dimensional plane. It's only two dimensions, like a flat sheet of paper, a X-axis and a Y-axis. That's as far as we are thinking. But when we start talking about like graphic design and like animations and things like that, you start getting into like the 3 dimensions where there is a Z-axis. And it's interesting that the Z-axis intersects the X feminine plane and the Y masculine plane at 0 point in the origin, like where it all started. They're all one. There's oneness, there's unity. So now let's kind of put this together in terms of generations. So, as I stated, Z-axis meets the X and Y-axis at the 0 point, where it's no more feminine than it is masculine. It's no more masculine than it is feminine at 0. It's no more positive or negative. It's not good or bad. And ironically, Generation Z is also gender fluid. Have you noticed that? They're not overly feminine, not overly masculine, just somewhere lurking in the middle. Not overly positive, not overly negative. And I feel that the Generation Z soul group brought gender fluidity to humanity in response to the severely unbalanced anti-feminine patriarchy, and as we are approaching the Aquarian age. So all of that stuff that was deeply ingrained in us, that's anti-feminine rhetoric, Generation Z with their gender fluidity, they are bringing us back to an androgynous state where we're not overly one or the other. We recognize ourselves as both. So it's through releasing these stereotypes for genders and, what feminine is supposed to be, what a woman is supposed to be, what the masculine is supposed to be, what a man's supposed to be, or who a gender should be attracted to solely based on their gender alone. Because we're remembering that we are androgynous. And as I say this, there's probably beings from Andromeda smiling down on me like, yes, somebody gets it. Somebody gets it. And everyone, it's important to note that everyone, literally everyone, has both feminine and masculine qualities about them. Like, if you look at your natal chart, you're going to see some signs are feminine and some signs are masculine. So everyone is a blend of masculine energies and feminine energies. Even most of the planets themselves, probably all the planets on some level, but even most of the planets themselves have both a feminine and a masculine expression of themselves. So, for example, the planet Mercury. Mercury, when it wants to express itself as a masculine energy, it does so as a Gemini. When Mercury wants to express itself as a positive or not a positive, as a feminine or a negative side of itself, it expresses itself as Virgo. When it comes to the planet Venus, when Venus wants to express herself in a masculine way, Venus embodies the energy of Libra. When Venus wants to express itself in a feminine way, it expresses itself like Taurus. Mars, when it wants to express itself like a feminine energy, it does so like a Scorpio. When Mars wants to express itself in a masculine way, it does so as Aries. Saturn, when Saturn wants to express itself as a feminine energy, it does so as Capricorn. When Saturn wants to express itself as a masculine energy, it does so as Aquarius, etc., etc., etc. But just giving you just the understanding that even the planets that rule our natal chart, that how we express our personality and the way that we love, the way that we think, the way that we communicate, the way that we take action, all of these planets, they have dual nature to themselves also. They have a feminine nature. They have a masculine nature. Just like us. We're microcosms of the universe. As above, so below. As below, so above. Everything going on in our lives is happening on some level in the bacterial world. It's happening in a similar way in the cosmos. It's happening in some other way in the galaxy way down the road from the Milky Way. All is connected. Okay. So, my generation is the millennials or the Xennials, depending on, who you ask and like where they put that that dividing line with where the generation stops and starts. But within my generation, a lot of our fated relationships with twin flames and karmic soulmates, karmic twins, all of these relationships have been pretty topsy-turvy. It's almost like, and I'll say probably especially for the twins out there, it's like we switch bodies with each other. Like the masculine bodied person within that twin or soulmate relationship tends to have more feminine energy in their charts. And then the feminine bodied twin or soulmate tends to have more masculine energy in their natal charts. So what exactly does this mean? It means power struggle, especially coming into a society that lifts up the man, lifts up the masculine energy, lifts up the father, and puts down the mother, belittles the feminine, and says emotions are evil, pessimism is bad, is dark, is negative, all of these things all these curses that we unknowingly speak. So with these power struggles, and I also mentioned that the millennials are part of the Pluto and Scorpio generation, and Scorpio is all about power and transformation and rebirth after death, rising from the ashes after just like a total destruction, so to speak, a total destruction of whatever was old. And for us, a lot of us, that came through us with relationships and how we're relating to other people. So like immediately before the Pluto and Scorpio generation, we had the Pluto and Libra generation. So Pluto and Libra, there was a lot of things that happened with relationships like late 70s and into the 80s, early 80s. A lot of things were, happening with relationships. Things were changing. The dynamics of relationships were changing. And then The Pluto in Scorpio generation came in. We're here to like basically obliterate and destroy the old and, allow the transformation to occur so that the new can come in and we can function as more whole beings, because our relationships are failing in so many senses of the word fail, because we're failing in our relationship with ourselves. Every relationship that we have with each person, whether that's family, friends, lovers, parents, whomever, even your pet, your cat, your dog, your bird, your snake, every relationship that you have with people, period, is a reflection of your relation to yourself. So if within yourself, your feminine side and your masculine side are not in unison, they're not working together in harmony, it's still like woman versus man, man versus woman, then what you're going to see is your relationships on the outside are going to mirror that. So if you're a woman with a lot of masculine energy on the inside, you're going to attract more than likely a male with a lot of feminine energy on the inside. So it's just kind of like, who's going to be the man? And well, I should be the man because, I have male body parts. Well, I should wear the pants in this relationship because I feel like a man on the inside. I have more masculine energy than you. So it just kind of turns into this back and forth argument, the battle of the sexes, the age-old battle of the sexes, Mars versus Venus, Venus versus Mars. Who's going to win? Like Aaliyah said, we need a resolution. Who should be hurt and who should be blamed? And we have to, stop seeing ourselves as just feminine or just masculine or just female or just male. But we have to start seeing ourselves as gender fluid. So I'm not saying, go pick off a letter from the LGBTQ unless that's what you want to do. I'm not judging you. Do you. I'm not saying to go pick a color off the LGBTQ flag, the pride flag. I'm not telling you to do that necessarily, but what I'm saying is be gender fluid enough so that the feminine inside of you honors the masculine inside of you, and the masculine inside of you honors the feminine inside of you without trying to control, or the feminine not trying to manipulate. So it goes deep. So I want to switch gears for a quick minute, and it's all still tied into everything, but I want to talk about lightning. So when we see a lightning strike, basically what we're seeing is the negatively charged particles on the bottom of a cloud, or the feminine charged particles on the bottom of a cloud, are attracted to the positive or the masculine charges on the ground. And the ground actually gets these positive charges because it's so hot outside. So when it gets really hot in the earth, the feminine energy of the earth gets hot on its surface, then the feminine charges in the clouds get attracted to those charges, those masculine charges on the ground. And then lightning strikes and the air gets so hot so fast, it superheats, it fries, and it creates a loud cackling boom, like a sonic boom, right? The sound barrier breaks and we hear the thunder roar and we see the flash of electricity. So that's what happens when the union of the feminine meets the union of the masculine. There's lightning, there's electricity, and high vibrational gamma radiation is produced in lightning strikes. So when we too come back to that 0 point balance, when the feminine within us says, I respect the masculine, and the masculine within us says, I respect the feminine, and then on the outside, in our relationships and all our dealings with other people, our heart is so right that we're saying, you know what? I respect the feminine and the masculine in you. I respect the feminine and the masculine in you. I don't want to play power games and all of these things. I'm getting back to 0 point. I'm getting back to the point of origin where it all started, before there was a feud between the masculine and the feminine. Democrats versus Republicans. Um, and so you go in and you say, okay, well, I agree with the positive charge. And someone else says, no, I agree with the negative charge. But what a lot of people don't realize is that they're both charges. So neither is inherently greater or better than the other. They're just charges. So transcend the mindset, and you guys keep the faith, keep hope. Just know that we're all in this together, and process your pain and the things that you're going through how you need to. I you know wish that no one does so in a destructive way, but everyone is on a different path. Everyone has different lessons to learn, or we're all learning the same lessons, just in different ways, and we're on different parts of our journey. So be encouraged. Just remember that on the other side of this is a less weighty existence, a less weighted or a less dense existence. If we want to get back to the things that we're really capable of without even technology, we're capable of telepathy and teleporting. We're capable of channeling messages from beings that live in the galaxy down the street and around the corner and around the bend. We're capable of doing these things. We don't need technology. We don't need spaceships. This is a part of the age of Aquarius where we come into that knowledge that I am the technology. I can do all of this myself. I don't need artificial intelligence to do it for me. So keep working on yourself. Keep vibrating higher, I hope, but but just keep vibrating. Keep vibrating. And I will see you next time. If you have any questions about anything that I've stated, you can email me at sankhofa1111@gmail.com. Again, that's sankhofa1111@gmail.com. Or if you're interested in having a natal astrology session, or a spiritual coaching session, holistic coaching session, you can send those inquiries by email also. Thanks, and y'all have a good night.